Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay to talk Packers tonight. We got a bunch of stuff to cover. Got a loaded show for you guys and gals. We're going to talk trade rumors through the eyes of Bleacher Report, who put together a top 10 list of players potentially on the trade block. And we'll talk about why they're on the trade block as well. We'll rapid fire through that, see if any of those names grab your attention as a Packer fan, someone you might want on the team. We'll also talk Jordan Love and Micah Parsons leading this awesome young Packers team. They absolutely balled out. Obviously, Jordan Love winning an award this week. Micah Parsons also getting a Player of the Month. We'll talk about all that. And we'll dive into the latest on the injury report for Packers-Panthers and then give you guys a quick PFF preview on Packers-Panthers. We'll start to talk about how their lineup matches up against ours, both on offense and defense. Before we do that, though, if you guys would do that YouTube stuff for me, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us part of your evening. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you talking Packers on the daily. So if that's the type of content you're looking for, make sure you click subscribe, click that bell icon so you're notified every time we go live. Like earlier this afternoon, we did a quick show. It's supposed to be quick. It went 40 minutes just talking about Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, and that whole situation in Chicago. It just seems like that thing could go south really, really quick. So if you guys want to check that video out, just click on the page here. You'll see it. It was listed earlier as a live stream, and we got it logged as a video as well to make things a little bit easier. So, all right, Tim, how are you, man? Before we jump into it, you have a good day, man?
Great day, man. I heard the pod. I didn't get home in time to jump on with you this afternoon, but always a treat to talk about the dumpster fire that is the Chicago Bears. Love it.
There's a lot of stuff that went under the radar that I missed, man. I didn't realize that that basically Ben Johnson said the ball should have went to a different place on the interception. Obviously, they were trailing by 3 in the fourth quarter, 9 minutes left, and then of course Caleb Williams came out in his presser and said, "Nah, I think I made the right read. I just could have threw a better ball." And it's like, no, you didn't.
Get ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. You had a guy wide open in the flat on the 2nd and 10, and you stared down your number one read like you always do and threw it to the opposite team. That's what happened there, Bob. So really, really interesting to see how that plays out. Because, Tim, they were hot a few weeks ago, and, man, this thing could turn south quick, obviously losing to the Ravens last week. But we'll see how it shakes out. Again, this ain't a Bears podcast, but we do like to keep our finger on the pulse of the division rivals and just talk about what's going on in those areas as well. So let's get into some trade rumors, Tim. You ready for this?
Do it.
All right. So Bleacher Report put an article out earlier today, and essentially what they said was, hey, here's the top 10 big board for potential players that might potentially be traded. So we're just going to go kind of rapid fire. I want to get Tim's take on it. I want to get the chat's take on it as well in terms of whether or not you would trade for these players or not. We got something going on. We're going to have to take the skeleton down. I think it's throwing everything out there, Tim. But we'll see what you guys think in the chat. Would you trade for these players or not? Okay, I definitely want to know how everybody feels about this. Let's start here, though. I wonder why that's dropping. That keeps dropping out on us, Tim. You notice that?
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, StreamYard added a bunch of Halloween stuff in, so I'm assuming it's just going to screw up our broadcast completely. You know how that goes. I wonder if there's maybe there's a setting now that they changed to where that thing drops down after a few seconds, maybe. So perfect drop, by the way. Let me just take a quick gander here through the layouts. Actually, it's staying up this time. I don't know if you push something, Tim. They may have changed something where when you go to add an image or something, maybe it pulls it down. So we'll play with it later. That's what she said. Anyway, so big board breakdown here, trade block. All right. Jacoby Myers, they had him listed number 1. And again, this isn't how I would rank him. This is how Bleacher Report had him ranked. Okay. And we just did kind of a quick little summarization of that article. So Jacoby Myers, wide receiver from the Las Vegas Raiders, projected trade value is a conditional 2026 4th round pick. Key points: impending 2026 free agent, who requested a trade in the offseason and is unlikely to return. Raiders added Tyler Lockett as a succession plan. Multiple teams interested, but Vegas seeks at least a day 2 pick, top receiver likely available at a team-friendly price amid league-wide receiver injuries. The potential suitors, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Something is definitely off on this. This is going to drive me crazy tonight. There it went again. Did you push anything just now, Tim?
Negative.
Wonderful. So I apologize, guys. I may just have to read it, to be honest with you. And then without the visualization, I'd like to give you guys everything I can see on the screen. But nonetheless, Jacoby Myers, Pittsburgh Steelers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the ones that seem to be in pursuit of someone like a Jacoby Myers. Tim, I don't know how you feel. This is a no for me. I think our receiver room is set. I like where we're at. If anything, I wish the trade rumors would stop circulating about potentially trading Wicks or Dobbs, right? So I definitely don't think we need another receiver, right?
Yeah, I would agree 100%. We don't have to spend too much time on that. And that's not a diss on Jacoby Myers, but I mean, I can think of 5 or 6 receivers on this roster right now that I'm good with. So I think that's a hard pass for the Pack right now.
Yeah, definitely. All right, moving along. Next player on this list is Jalen Phillips, edge defender from the Miami Dolphins. We'll throw up there real quick. Projected trade value is a 2026 fourth-round pick. Key points, he's 26 years old and pending 2026 free agent with high upside after injury impacted 23 and 24 seasons. Dolphins unlikely to make postseason and may face front office changes. Holds more trade value than teammate Bradley Chubb. Potential suitors are the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, we just traded for Micah Parsons. I don't see Jalen Phillips being a player that I would be interested in. Now, any player for the right price, obviously, but the thought of giving up a fourth-round pick for a player you're probably not going to re-sign next year because you're looking at potentially getting the OV in a contract as well, I think that would be a no for me on that one as well, Tim.
Yep, co-signing that one too. Hard pass. We're good.
Definitely. All right, moving along. Next on their list, number 3, Breece Hall, running back, New York Jets. The potential trade value, once again, a conditional 2026 fourth-round pick. He's a 24-year-old who has topped 1,000 yards twice. Let me try to remove it and bring it right back up. Let's see if that maybe fixes it. That might be an easy fix. So, yeah, he's topped 1,000 yards twice with 759 yards in 2025. Jets' new regime does not view him as a long-term fit. Moving him now maximizes return amid league backfield injuries. Acquiring team must offer a long-term deal, so it's going to be one of those type of things. Arizona Cardinals, New Orleans Saints seem to be linked to him a little bit. You look at our running back room, Breece Hall is a hell of a running back, Tim. I mean, when you look at the PFF grades, you see his upside is an 82.4 in 2023, and he's pretty much graded no lower than a 60. His lowest point was a 62 last year, but you see, since he came in the league, 69, 82, 62, and 72. So this is a solid running back. However, it's kind of back to what we talked about, right? Josh Jacobs is under contract. You're good there. Emmanuel Wilson, we've still got his rights at least next year, possibly 2 years. And then, of course, we're trying to see if Marshawn Lloyd's going to be a fit. The only thing that makes me go, would they, is because the fact that there were some rumors that they were maybe linked or calling about Devin Achane earlier, right? If I remember correctly from the Dolphins. So what do you think about there, man? Would you be willing to give up a 2026 fourth-round pick for somebody like Breece Hall to add depth to the running back room?
Possibly. That's the first one that makes you scratch your head, right? The first one on this list that makes you think, okay, we talked about the, potential at running back with Marshawn Lloyd being a question mark right now. That's what we're looking for right now. We're trying to turn the corner and make a push here. So if you make a move before the deadline, this would be the first player on this list that made me at least want to consider it. Because like I said, I mean, you can't sleep on Breece Hall. He's a beast of a back. But at the end of the day, I think it's still a no. I think I'm still on a hard pass on this one. I feel good about Emmanuel Wilson. I feel good about Josh Jacobs and Chris Brooks for that matter. I feel good about him in the role that he plays. And, I think this running back room can, continue to hold the fort until we get a guy like Marshawn Lloyd back in the fold, because we haven't seen more than a handful of snaps from him at the pro level. And we saw his college tape. We know what Marshawn Lloyd's capable of. So I don't know if you go ahead and trade a future pick just to get a guy in right now feel pretty good about where we're at, especially when you factor in the Savion Williams factor. We've got a number of receivers that we can use as running backs in a pinch. I would say no for right now on Breece Hall.
I agree, man. And again, it's not that I'm just hell-bent on keeping a 4th-round pick. I just don't know how valuable he would be to the Packers. And again, if he tries to make it a situation where he may hold out and not show up to the team that he's traded to because he wants a long-term contract, I definitely don't see us in the market for giving a running back a long-term contract when you got Emmanuel Wilson and Josh Jacobs under contract for the foreseeable future. So, all right, next on the list, number 4, Logan Wilson, linebacker from the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, projected trade value is a 2026 6th-round pick. Key points: defensive captain who requested a trade due to reduced playing time, only 67% of the snaps, and new coordinator favoring younger linebackers, signed through 2027, but the Bengals could have $3.6 million by releasing him in the spring. All right, potential suitors: Indianapolis Colts and the San Francisco 49ers. When you look at the PFF grades here, Tim, not that good, Bub. 54, 61, 74, 62, 72, 54. And again, you're talking about a player that's about to turn 30 years old. That's a hard pass for me, for sure.
Yeah, I'm good on that. We'll pass on that one. We're 4 for 4 here on the hard passes.
I'm telling you. Next, Mark Andrews, tight end, Baltimore Ravens, projected trade value, 2026 5th-round pick or a defensive starter. That's already a hard pass there, right? Key points: 30-year-old free agent in spring of 2026. Ancillary, is that right? Ancillary target in Ravens offense, but show potential in week 3. Had 6 catches, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ravens' poor defense may prompt offers from playoff contenders. Potential suitors: the Seattle Seahawks, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So if you bring in a Mark Andrews, this one's a little bit interesting to me. You talk about giving up a 5th-round pick for a guy who's had success in the past. As you can see here, the PFF grades: 73, 88, 76, 91, 80, 78, 83, and then a 61 this year. I do feel like Mark Andrews would be a significant upgrade over Musgrave. However, there's always that factor of, progress stopper. And this is literally the definition of it right now. I understand there's many people, we see it in the chat all the time, that don't think Musgrave. They're not a Musgrave believer. They don't think he's going to turn out to be a good pro based off what we've seen so far. I can understand that sentiment. But also, if you were to upgrade the tight end room, a key position, obviously, in Matt LaFleur's offense, that would mean either Fitzpatrick or Musgrave is going to come off the field for a significant amount of snaps, right? With that being said, and, I like what Coach Lynn says here. I'm going to try to put it on the screen, and it disappeared, of course. Musgrave for Andrews and a 7th. Okay, so you would trade Luke Musgrave for our boy Mark Andrews and a 7th-round pick in return. That would at least make sense, right, Tim? There's no longer are you stopping the progress of Musgrave, but obviously you'd be giving up on a player that I think they think pretty highly of. This is one of the first ones where I can go, that kind of makes sense. It does kind of make sense to bring in a veteran tight end, although he is 30 years old. How long are you going to have him? A couple years, right? So it's not all that appealing.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, maximum of 2 to 3 years, maybe, right? Maybe he plays to 33, 34 or something. Although we shouldn't talk too much about 30-plus-year-old tight ends, as we see the big dog Mercedes Lewis signing a practice squad contract with Denver. That news broke earlier today, so it's not unheard of. But if you're talking long term, I would say no, but not a hard pass. Like you said, this is the first one that might actually make sense, if you see this in the cards. But I don't know, man. Something tells me no. Him dropping that money ball last year in the biggest game of the season for Baltimore, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, So I don't know. I don't know how much better we get, in the tight end room with him. Obviously, he's a veteran, so you're going to improve a little bit. But like you said, possible progress stopper for, Fitzpatrick or whoever you may potentially draft coming up, in the next year or two. Being down a draft pick and down Musgrave. I know everyone's down on Musgrave, but maybe he's just a late bloomer. Give him some time.
Could be. Yeah. Elijah Gwynn in the chat says he'd be here for the window. That's a good point, right? Next 2-year window for the Super Bowl window for sure. And Drew D says Andrews had some significant injuries too. So I think the consensus is probably be a pass on our boy Mark Andrews there at tight end. Next, you got Tariq Woolen, cornerback out of the Seattle Seahawks. Projected trade value, Tim, a 2026 third-round pick, all right? Impending 2026 free agent who doesn't fit Coach Mike McDonald's scheme, played 92% of the snaps, but Seahawks have sought trades. Value 44 passes defended, 11 interceptions, exceeds recent comparable deals like Roger McCreary's. The potential suitors are the Indianapolis Colts and the Philadelphia Eagles. I personally don't see the buzz around this guy. I know a lot of Packer fans were mentioning his name. His PFF grade 69, 67, 67, and 48. If you talk about potentially taking someone like Carrington Valentine off the field, and you're going to have to give up a third-round pick for this guy, I'm just not as big on this one. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I'm there with you. You know I love CV. And is Tariq here, is he a slot or is he a boundary guy?
He is a boundary guy for sure.
Okay, so then that's worth considering, right, on the surface. But no, I'm with you, man. I don't get the hype. I'll pass on that one.
Packers don't need is another slot corner, right, Tim?
Exactly.
we got two. We're kind of in a pickle right now with those. So moving along, this one was really interesting. You remember this was a guy that had a high draft grade just a couple years ago, actually last year, right? Yeah, last year.
JPJ.
Yeah, Jackson Powers Johnson, interior offensive line for the Raiders. Projected trade value is a 2026 fourth-round pick and or a veteran cornerback. Key points, 2024 second-round pick, not favored by the Raiders regime. College accolades include the Remington Trophy, started 14 games as a rookie, but benched in Week 7. High upside for teams that value and potential suitors are the Cleveland Browns and the L.A. Rams. Again, he was the former 44th overall selection there, a second-round pick. When you look at the PFF grades, rookie year, 63.9. What is going on with this thing tonight? Lord have mercy. 63.9 is rookie year, 63.7 this year. So it seems like he's kind of stabilizer. You kind of know what you got in that offensive lineman. 6'3", 320, obviously played for Oregon. This one's a little bit appealing because I know we've got obviously Elton Jenkins at center, and you just signed Aaron Banks to that deal, which is essentially a 2-year deal, if I remember correctly, the way it was structured. It may be a 4-year deal on paper, but you can get out of it after 2. So someone like Jackson Powers Johnson does kind of pique my interest a little bit. But at the same time, I mean, who are you going to have to sit if you trade him and you deem him a starter, right? And again, They would be asking for a fourth-round pick. You give up a fourth-round pick, I imagine you plan on this guy starting, right? So, I mean, what would that look like, Tim? Let's assume we are going to trade for him. Okay, let's assume we trade for Jackson Powers Johnson. You then got to make a decision. All right, do we want to start him at center over E and move E back to guard, right? And then that means Elton Jenkins has got to play out of position at right guard rather than left guard because Aaron Banks is settled in at left guard. Does it mean you get Jackson Powers Johnson and put him at right guard? If you do that, Jordan Morgan is finally starting to step into his own. He's been grading out pretty well. So now you stop that progress. You put him on the bench. To me, this one don't make sense either.
Yeah, I would say no for those reasons exactly. Unless, JPJ is a monster center that we are unaware about, does he have these skills that we're not aware of as a center? Because then you could maybe, see some value long-term if we're going to move on from Big E at some point. But right now, I don't think it's worth the fourth rounder. I really don't. I think I'd rather dip in the draft again at this point.
Makes sense. Number 8. Kayvon Thibodeau, edge defender from the New York Giants. Trade value, Tim, a 2026 first-round pick. That knocks us out right there. Right?
We don't have any of those.
He's a former 5th overall selection. They're saying the potential suitors are San Francisco 49ers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. To me, that would make sense for the 49ers because Bosa out for the year. That would make a whole lot of sense, and then they could potentially lock him up to a long-term deal and have him line up opposite of Bosa, right? So I could see how that would make sense. Tampa trying to put a run together as well. They could probably use that. PFF grade starting in 2022, 72, 58, 69, and 68. So to me, he hasn't performed like a top 5 selection. However, you never know, man. A change of scenery could trigger it. I don't think it's going to be something to be going for. So, All right. This is the one that gets my attention big time. Quinnen Williams, defensive lineman, New York Jets. Guys, this is one of the best defensive tackles in the game. And when you're talking about a guy that's 6'3", 303, if you were to get him and pair him up with Devontae Wyatt in the middle, that's really exciting to me. Okay, this is a guy that if you go and trade for him and he's about to turn 28 years old, get him under contract for 3 years, get out of it after the third year or after the second year type thing. But the problem is the projected trade value is a 2026 first-round pick and more. Key points, 3-time Pro Bowler with 40 sacks, under contract through 2027, turns 28 in December. Inquiries due to the Jets' 1-7 start and no clear quarterback plan could yield premium draft capital for quarterback pursuit in 2026. Basically, in a nutshell, the Jets could potentially use him to trade for draft capital so they could go find their franchise quarterback that they could then ruin like they always do. Potential suitors are the Detroit Lions and the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right. When you look at the grades, 67, 81, 64, 90, 90, 68, and 79, still playing a good, high caliber football. This one grabs my attention just because to me, that's the only piece that's really missing in our defense, in my opinion. Yeah. You guys know, I don't see cornerbacks as valuable as everyone else. It's a perfect example. We got one of the cheapest cornerback rooms in the league. Without Nate Hobbs, it probably would be the cheapest cornerback in the room, okay? With that being said, look how good our pass defense is. We don't have a stud in his prime Jalen Ramsey. We don't have in his prime Jair Alexander. Isn't it funny, Tim, when we had Jair Alexander, he's a great player, but our pass defense was never as good as it is right now. Why is that? Because we put all of our money and our resources into the defensive line. You spent a first-round pick on Devontae Wyatt. You traded multiple first-round picks for Micah Parsons. And, of course, Rashawn Gary was a first-round pick. So, again, that's why I never see cornerbacks as a tier 1 or not even a tier 2 position of importance. Is it important to have good corners? Absolutely. If you can have them, great. But you never prioritize the cornerback position over a 3-tech or an edge defender. That's just silly. And even a Mike backer and a post safety, in my opinion. I would much rather put the money in a post safety who's patrolling center field rather than a cornerback who essentially has an extra defender, i.e. the sideline, helping him cover. If that makes sense. So.
Explains why we got Xavier McKinney in the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where you go. And, you look at Quinnen Williams. I mean, he's 3rd overall pick, right? I mean, this guy was, the real deal. And if you're talking about getting better in the trenches, I'm always going to agree with that. Problem is, though, like you said, again, we don't have a first-round pick to give up. I'm not sure how many 2nd or 3rd rounds it would take to get him here. But I do think a guy like this would help us for sure. I'd rather go, a 1 or a 3 or a 0 tech than, an edge guy at this point for our defense, even with the injuries that we're dealing with LVN on the line right now, as far as edge. I feel good about our edge group, but I would like to see some help in the middle there on the D line.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Up next, final on the list, Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Conditional 2026 second-round pick and a defensive player is the projected trade value. Key points, 23-year-old Pro Bowl caliber rookie in 2024. He had 1,282 yards, 10 touchdowns. Obviously, solid performance there. But underperformed in 2025, only 365 yards, 1 touchdown through 7 games. Coach denies plans, but Jaguars listening to offers, value in youth, and proven upside. The potential suitors are the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would like to see him with Aaron Rodgers up in Pittsburgh opposite DK. That would be really exciting. But once again, no room in our wide receiver room, in my opinion. We're not looking for a guy that we're going to go out and potentially overpay, and I'm sure he's just about due for a contract. Actually, he was a rookie last year, so you'd have 2 more years on his deal. Last year as a rookie, 82. This year he's graded down to 59. So and Leon Cohen is now down there in Jacksonville, and he runs a Shanahan/McVay style offense. So that kind of shows you there's no reason to have that true number 1 guy that you're just going to try to force the ball to all the time, right? If I were the Jaguars, this is a guy I would be looking to trade for sure. So
yeah, for sure. And we're not interested. You lost me at wide receiver, right?
Right, exactly. Exactly. Let's go to the super chat real quick. Brambo, thank you so much, buddy. Tim, it may be us hitting the mute button that's pulling that down too. Not 100% sure, but
Brambo, come on, StreamYard, step your game up. What's going on?
They said, here's all these new features you didn't ask for, and everything else is broke. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Brambo with the super chat. Any other knockoff brand Quentin Williams available? That's a great question, right?
That sounds like a Jacob question. Hey, we got any of
yeah.
them bargain bin Quentin Williams out there?
Exactly. Yeah. Quentin Williams, man, I view him as a top 5 defensive tackle, Brambo. Maybe I'm a little higher on him than most, but that's kind of how I see him. I don't think there's many players that you go, oh, yeah, there's another Quentin Williams, like you said, a knockoff brand Quentin Williams. And honestly, this is going to sound like an insult, but I don't mean it this way. We got to knock off Quentin Williams at home, and that's Kobe Wooden, who I think is playing really good football right now, right? And he's really cheap. So
the general, baby.
The thought of going and getting somebody at or slightly above Kobe Wooden's level and kind of preventing his progress, I don't like the idea of that. And I think he's played a great nose tackle. And it's obvious in passing situations this year, we're going to more of that cheetah package with 3 pass rushers, right? So obviously you put Micah at Joker 1 from time to time. So you essentially would be trading for a player of lesser talent than Quentin Williams, and he's going to be sitting on the bench for some of those crucial downs on third downs, right? Quentin Williams, the whole point of getting somebody like that would be, all right, him and Devontae Wyatt on the field together, and then maybe you got to change your scheme up a little bit and get away from the Joker look, and not the Joker look, but the cheetah package. And I don't think that Hafley wants to do that for sure. So thank you for that super chat, Rambo. Appreciate you, buddy. The only other thing here with the trade rumors, I want to hit this real quick. Our buddy Easton Butler tweeted this back out. We covered this earlier in the week, or maybe it was late last week. The Packers have continued to make calls at the cornerback position, calling Cleveland this week about Denzel Ward, per source. They have also continued to have conversations with the Saints and Bengals about Avonte Taylor and Cam Taylor-Britt. He did go on to say, once again, in all caps, he actually replied with a quote tweet of himself where he said on October 21st, calling a team, in all caps, calling a team doesn't mean they're in deep conversations. That'll be done soon. Literally could be asking about availability, price point, or actual trades to develop. So Denzel Ward is one that I feel like, Tim, a lot of fans kind of get excited about when you talk about him. If I remember correctly, I wasn't as high on him, or maybe that was Newsome. I think that was Newsome I was thinking about. What do you think about adding someone like Denzel Ward as I get ready to give you the grades here? Does that kind of grab your attention a little bit? Because that might be a guy that could play on the boundary.
Yeah.
As we let me see. Let me pull up his premium stats real quick. Give me just a second. So, yeah, he's definitely an outside corner. All right. His grades in Cleveland, 78, 69, 70, 76, 56, 69, 68, and 50. And he is officially 28 years old. He'll be 29 by the end of the year. So not like a dominant corner. I think that would be a good value piece. If you could get him for like a 6th-round pick or something, I would be okay with that. That would sound just fine to me.
Me too. He's kind of on that short list of a couple of corners. Cameron Taylor-Britt was another one. Obviously in Cincy, but Denzel Ward does kind of pique your interest. And big shout out to Easton Butler for, breaking this kind of stuff. And then, keeping us emotional fans in check by saying, hey, I'm just reporting facts. I'm aware of phone calls and conversations. It doesn't mean that, a deal is drafted up or anything is, actually going to come to fruition anytime soon. It just means that they're making calls. But Denzel Ward is certainly someone that makes you scratch your head a little bit, and maybe he could help you in the secondary. Especially when we're talking about the competition that is clearly open right now when it comes to boundary corner. You and I both are probably in lockstep when it comes to CV. We feel good about him on the outside. Keyshawn Nixon, I feel like he's had a few games where he might have missed 1 or 2 or struggled a little bit, but he's also going to give you games where he plays like a freaking all-pro on that boundary. So, if you want to add a little bit more, I could see maybe making a move on a guy like Denzel Ward. But again, what is the market? What are we giving up to bring him into the fold? I'm not saying auction off the franchise, but if you can get a deal done and maybe bring him in, maybe you move Bo back to, full-time return duties, special teams, and, maybe the wide receiver room, and you beef up your cornerback room with a Denzel Ward or a Cam Taylor-Britt or somebody, maybe. But again, not 2nd, 3rd round picks and multiple players, anything like that. I wouldn't go crazy.
Right. So we'll keep our eye on that. And I know I seen Turt McGirt in the chat. said, what's his price? I haven't seen anything labeled there, right? Obviously, he wasn't on that top 10 list. And just so everybody knows, if someone sees that Bleacher Report article and they think that's BS, they've actually, in the article, if you go read it, they've got sources of, I've confirmed these teams are reaching out about this player. So these are guys that are actually being sought after or shopped. There is some truth there. But with that being said, we have no value though, Turt, on this particular potential trade, I should say, here in Denzel Ward. So if you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments. What do you think about that top 10 list? What do you think about Denzel Ward or DJ Turner or Britt, any of those guys? Does that sound like players you would be interested in trading for the Packers? Also, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. All right, Tim, let's move it along, man. Let's talk about a couple players on this Packers roster that's absolutely dominant. Did you just put the skeleton up, Tim?
You know I did.
Okay. Let's see what happens when I throw this back on the screen, because it seems to be when we try to do anything else other than share the screen, it drops down. Let's see what happens. But I like the skeleton. I like how he's got that hip kicked out there, too, like he's at the club. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like playing tackle or something, get that kick step going.
Look, to me, it looked like Jacob over at the club, the other club.
On a Friday or Saturday night, for sure.
That's right. Carson Caldwell, our good buddy over on X at Caldwell Corner _ said, your NFC Offensive Player of the Week and NFC Defensive Player of the Month. Obviously, it's an image for those of you listening on the pod of Jordan Love and Micah Parsons, toe on the line there for the national anthem against the Steelers. I believe that was in the all-white unis. Listen, man, you talk about two cornerstones for a great championship run here. My God, man. Jordan Love playing quarterback as good as anybody in the league right now. Micah Parsons dominating in the pressure statistics as well as the PFF grades. And for anyone who said that it wasn't worth it in the trade, or anyone who said, well, he's not hitting home with the sacks, you're talking about a guy that wins NFC Defensive Player of the Month. You're talking about a consistent run over the last 4 games. This is exciting stuff with Jordan Love and obviously Micah Parsons, man. Just absolutely awesome. I also like what our buddy Hog NFL put here, Tim, on Micah Parsons when he just tweeted out and put Micah Parsons is awarded with the NFC Player of the Month of October. # thank you, Jerry. So, man, look at the stats, too. 9 tackles, 5 for a loss, 4 sacks in the month of October, I guess that was. So, exciting stuff, man. Micah Parsons, Jordan Love. We'll get to Jordan Love a little bit more here in a second. Let's just kind of wrap up this Micah Parsons segment here, man. Listen, what the attention he's drawn away from the rest of the defense, that's exciting and everything. But what I like the most is how Jeff Hafley wasted no time to go, you know what? We need to get him in a more advantageous spot on the defensive line, and we started to unveil that Joker 1 look. And it's crazy too, because we mentioned this in the as soon as we traded for Micah, we were already talking about Joker looks, and somebody asked in the chat, what does Joker mean? That's the first time I've ever explained Joker on the program. And then lo and behold, 3-4 weeks later, Tim, here's Micah Parsons playing Joker. It's pretty cool, man. Yeah,
and with a great level of success, right? We've seen this a couple weeks in a row where these looks are really working. And I think it's because of the dynamic edge rusher that he is. When you pull him off that edge and stick him behind a D tackle, man, and let him creep around, you don't know where he's coming from. We've seen him stick left, move right, go back left, and vice versa. It's really tough to defend off the edge, let alone in that Joker look. And I'm all for it, man. MP, baby. Let's go.
That's right. So Micah Parsons, again, your NFC Defensive Player of the Month for the month of October. Now,
can we put that Caldwell Corner photo back up there real quick?
I already exited out, Tim.
I just liked how that looked on the sidelines with him and Jay Money, Pay attention, boys and girls. You got your beast on offense and defense. That was a good look right there for sure.
Absolutely, man. Love to see it. All right, let's move along to Jordan Love here, man. This is kind of an interesting table here. And listen, you guys do your own research. Look how the skeleton looks now, Tim. That's a little creepy, right?
I love it.
Alien eyes over there. Football Insights over on X said quarterbacks versus man and zone coverage sorted by overall EPA per play. So Jordan Love leading the league in EPA per play at the moment. Notice all the green on Jordan Love here as well, right? Your EPA against man success rate, all that good stuff, touchdown percentage against man, sack percentage, the whole 9 yards. It's just wild the season he's having, man. When you look in some of the advanced analytics here, Jordan Love is off to a great start, even against zone, right? The only thing that's really down here is the touchdown percentage against zone defense. And I think the reason that that's down is you're leaning into the run a lot more when you see zone, right? You're starting to kind of run against zone when you get inside the red zone. Josh Jacobs obviously seems like he's scoring a touchdown every game, just about, right? I mean, obviously he had that great run of so many consecutive games with a rushing touchdown. So Jordan Love, again, no matter what metric you look at, the only stat or metric I've seen where I go, he doesn't look elite with that is the touchdown passes. And again, to me, that doesn't matter. Sometimes you can have a quarterback that's playing fairly bad and have a lot of touchdown passes because they're just cashing in on the easy plays once they get inside the 5, right? With Jordan, it's kind of the opposite. He's doing the dirty work. He's doing the heavy lifting, and then we're just getting inside the 5 and pounding that thing in.
Absolutely. And like we saw with Pittsburgh, we saw, more man coverage. We saw that with Detroit. Obviously, that's what they do, right? They probably play the most man of anyone in the NFL. But Jordan's damn good against that man coverage, man. He will carve up some man coverage. And, I think the zone reads are getting better for him too. And like you said, the touchdown numbers, maybe not ideally where you want them to be, but that's a deceiving stat line. Like you said, anyone can get that little back shoulder fade, or, you get a little hitch on your own, the 5-yard line in the red zone, and it's a touchdown pass. Nobody's correlating that to your actual gameplay. So I'm not tripping on the tutters against zone coverage. I'm sure that'll balance out by the time we're done with this regular season. Bottom line, Jay Money's throwing dimes, and we love it.
Yeah, he's off to a great start for sure. Turt McGirt says Jacobs has a ton of rushing touchdowns. Absolutely, man. And again, I think that plays a big role into that statistic we were just talking about. For sure. All right, let's move it along. Another statistic here, or another graph, image, whatever you want to say here.
Hold on, too old for this. Remember, though, Jordan is the worst quarterback in the NFC North.
Isn't it hilarious, man?
According to the haters during the offseason. It's so true.
Ranking that, it's like, what have you guys seen to think he's going to be so bad? Like, I love the offseason. It's literally, I call it, people call it offseason. I call it bookmark season. I'm just over there piling up the receipts, man. It feels like tax season. I'm just loading them up, boy, saving them for the regular season. We've been cashing in here lately on them too. If you guys are following me on Twitter, we've been having fun with that for sure. By the way, new drop there. You like that, don't you, Tim?
I love that. Big head Rome in the house. I love it.
Exactly. All right. Next tweet here came in from @MIBPJ2. All right. And here's what he said. Game-winning drive stats are dumb. Instead, let's ask which quarterbacks are the best at taking the lead or tying late in games, independent of game outcome. Posted before, but a few new quarterbacks, Jordan Love, Hurts, and Young, just hit the minimum threshold. Also, now accounts for, quote, almost no shot, end of quote, drives. Okay, so if we can kind of try to make a little sense of what this graphic is here, Tim. Running vertically on the left side, you've got clutch drive success percentage, okay, and it goes from 0 all the way up to 70%. And then across the bottom, you've got everybody kind of listed out, okay? You'll notice Jordan is third on this chart, okay? Only behind Patrick Mahomes with 57 and Josh Allen with 55. Then it looks like it's Jordan Love at 20 is what it's showing there, okay?
Yeah.
And
this is in the last 25 years. This is not currently. This is since the year 2000, correct?
Correct. So it's showing on the lower right, essentially running from left to right on the bottom, is how many drives they've done, right? And then it's showing kind of the percentage on the left, the clutch drive success percentage. So again, Jordan Love clutch drive success percentage is, somewhere around 58%. It looks like here, according to this chart, man. It's exciting because what did Rex Ryan say just the other day? Rex Ryan was harping on with the game's on the line. Yeah, when the game's on the line, you can't trust Jordan Love to win you the game. It's like, Bob, the analytics actually suggest otherwise. And this isn't something new. This has been going on for a while. I immediately think back to the first year he was starting when he led them on that go-ahead drive against the Saints where he hit that that little, what was it, a slot fade to Jaden Reed, who laid out with the diving catch. It's like that was the moment where I went, okay, Jordan's not perfect. At that time, he was far from perfect, right? But boy, oh boy, when you need a fourth quarter drive and the game's on the line, he just seems to be cool as a cucumber. Reminded me a lot of 12 in those situations for sure.
Absolutely. Speaking of 12, you see him and Big Ben there on that list, along with everyone's favorite Manning brother, Eli. Kind of, with the higher numbers there. But Jay Money, man, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. We've seen the development. We've been paying attention since he took over the helm after the Aaron Rodgers trade. And you got to feel good about him. I don't understand how anyone who actually watches, not even with regularity, you don't have to be a Packers fan. If you watch, 20 to 30 minutes of game tape on Jordan Love, I mean, how do you not see it? We hit on another one, guys. Like, be mad if you want to. It's a fact.
As Drew D said in the chat, Love's a franchise quarterback for sure. It's so true, man. And everybody's pointing out Justin Fields at the very bottom of this list, obviously. With Justin Fields being at the bottom, keep in mind, I know people were mentioning, where's Caleb at? Where's Caleb Williams at, right? Well, Caleb Williams, I don't think he's met that threshold yet, right? They just talked about in the actual tweet that Jordan just met the minimum threshold. That's why he's been added to the list. So I imagine that's why Caleb Williams is not on there. However, Justin Fields bringing up the rear there. And I do remember a time when Justin Fields was supposed to run the NFC North. Funny how things have changed, though. So yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Kurt McGurd in the chat says, explain Bryce Young's numbers. You see him on that list kind of towards the middle.
Let's see here. Bryce Young. So 22 is what it's showing at the bottom, right? And then in terms of his clutch percentage drive, looks like he's sitting at somewhere about 47, 48% in terms of clutch drive success percentage. So again, in case you guys are a little bit confused, let's just reread the tweet one more time. Game-winning drive stats are dumb. Instead, let's ask which quarterbacks are the best at taking the lead or tying late in games, independent of game outcome. So it's not did they lead a game-winning drive. It was did they do their part. And essentially, those game-winning drives get pushed to the side all the time because the defense may turn around and allow a touchdown or a field goal, lose the game, right? So they're kind of taking that out of the equation, if you will. So it also now accounts for almost no shot drives as well, is what it says. So, So there you go.
Worth noting, though, that he's hanging around in the middle of that list. We're playing him on Sunday. It's a great point, and I guess, in a few short years in this league, I mean, obviously Carolina's been playing from behind quite often. So it might explain he's had plenty of opportunities to do his part, but definitely something to keep an eye on going into this matchup since we know he'll be starting on Sunday.
Yeah, and again, I've been pretty vocal about Bryce Young. When he came out, he was my top quarterback. I loved everything about it, man. His post-snap read was excellent at Alabama. I mean, to me, he dominated at the college level. I just feel like he's been put in a bad spot since he's been in the league. He hasn't had a good team around him. So, if I remember correctly, Bryce Young beat the Packers just a couple years ago in Carolina. So now, again, that was a Joe Barry defense, and that was a defense that at safety you had Jonathan Owens and Rudy Ford. And now you've got Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams. You feel a lot better about your chances. Also, it was a defense that didn't have Edgerrin Cooper. It didn't have Micah Parsons. I like our chances a lot better against Bryce Young this time around, but I'm with you though, Tim. You can't really rule it out, man. Bryce Young can get hot. Here's the other thing too. We were talking about how many sacks are giving up a game, right? Was it like 2.4, I think it was, per game? And it gets you excited, right? Okay, well, maybe we'll see a lot of – keep in mind, they've been playing Andy Dalton a little bit. And also, Jeff Hafley is not the type of guy that goes, okay, it's easy to get sacks on him. Let's pin our ears and go get him. He's looking to win the game and win the drive, right? So don't be surprised if you see a lot of cage rush and touch spies in this game. And I'm telling you, if it's close and we don't sack him, they're going to come out of the woodwork going, what happened to the pass rush? Watch the freaking tape. You'll see the answer on the tape. If you see these guys not pinning their ears back and they're playing a controlled rush, their eyes are on the quarterback to make sure, okay, the coverage has it under control. Don't let him scramble out of the pocket, especially if you're playing a lot of if you're playing a lot of match technique or cover one man, which we played quite a bit of this year, comparatively speaking to last year. So
yeah,
just
for
keep
all
that
those
in mind.
fans, what do you want to do? Do you want to rush 5 or 6 or 7 all day and watch him run all over the field on us? Like I'm
Exactly.
good, man. Let's rush 4 and let's trust our defense and make them make mistakes for sure.
Definitely. So let us know what you think about Jordan Love and Micah Parsons in the comments. If you're watching this this video back later, let us know how you feel about those guys. Is that the Brett Favre and Reggie White of this particular Packers team? Is that the cornerstone of this team? And what do you think about their chances of winning not just one Super Bowl, but multiple Super Bowls in this window that I said was a 3-year window? I'm hearing other people say it's truly a 5-year window. So I hope I'm wrong there. I definitely see it as a 3-year window. Let us know in the comments what you think about Jordan Love's performance and how Micah Parsons has gotten off to a hot start here for the Packers. Also, hit subscribe and click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. All right, Tim,